Welcome everyone, good to have you here. It is 1 minute before New York is opening, and that is on purpose because we will probably have some volatility on the chart in 1 minute, or to be precise 43 seconds, because of the SpaceX IPO that I was informed of by Odin in this court. So in the beginning of this live stream, what we're just going to do is observe the chart. We're actually not really going to do a lot of analysis. Let's just first see what happens, if there is going to be any volatility, and let the chart settle. What I can say though, up front, is that if price loses structure and goes below this low, the bullish multi-1-2 naturally is going to be invalidated, right? And the probabilities increase for a deeper drop. The only scenario then that would be left for the bulls would be a diagonal like this, and then you look for a corrective structure and a move up. But that would be another leading diagonal, not the highest probabilities. So if price were to change market structure, initially the expectation would be to just continue the range, as bearish scenarios, where you're looking at a motive wave down, remain lowest probabilities, this being a wave 1 or a wave A, motive wave A, not corrective wave A, has lower probabilities than counting this as a corrective structure. Besides the move down, as explained in the previous video, being problematic with a 1.618 touch and an expanding diagonal in 5, which is rare. Also, your 2B went to the 886, which by itself is a rare target. But the 886 and also the 0.9 touch, it does allow for a flat A, B, wave C, and then for price to move up. And it also still allows for at least the potential of a triangle. So we will see. But I am very aware, like every range that we had so far was corrective, right? Was a higher probability corrective structure. This one so far is not yet a confirmed higher probability corrective structure. So that means that at the moment with this drop, I can't yet say, oh, higher to take out the high, right? Here we had a very clear three-wave movement. Bears were looking for continuation in an impulse. That didn't happen. Price changed structure again, moved above this high. The moment that happens, you look for price to go up and take out this high. Literally the same thing happened over here, and the same thing happened over here. So the previous ranges were actually quite easy. Trading wise also very easy, because the moment the bias is set, you're looking for buys and then for price to take out the high of the range as a minimum target. But now with this range, we got to wait and see. So we see a little bit of volatility here, price moving towards the downside. Keep in mind that if price takes out that low, we would expect initially a bit of a larger retracement and a continuation of the range from 60 to 59 to 64 basically. So that is what I am currently keeping an eye on. All right, but we don't yet know. We'll have to observe. So that was a very quick summary basically of the Elliott Wave scenarios that I keep in mind here. So what's up, Fish Egg Close, Maruku81, welcome. Alex, how you doing? GTP Sleeper, Boom, what's up? I just sent you a message in WhatsApp as well, I like, so Jeroen is a real life friend, and he's at work at the moment, but in a group app we have with many friends, I said, he's doing nothing. Yo, Tim, nice to have you here. I remember this is from when they pranked me with AI, putting a pig and a bunny in my garden when I was married. Legionario, welcome. Bert, what's up? La Ferrari, how you doing? Welcome. Vedran, what's up? Everyone dropping in. BX3 Hold, Jov Patron, Lorin. George, welcome guys. Hi from Sri Lanka. Okay, where are you guys from? Cyprus, Sri Lanka, currently in France, Timboom, Netherlands, T-Boom, baby crying, yeah. But my wife will take care of that, as she knows that I am live. But baby had a busy day. They were out with like my wife was out with a friend that also has a baby, a little bit older than ours, and our kiddo had a busy day, not sleeping while playing with the other kid and all that stuff. And then when she actually fell asleep, just before they arrived home, she woke up again when she went to bed. And then we brought her back to sleep, but now she's awake again. I think she slept about probably in the house now, 30, 40 minutes maybe. It's not bad, but generally when she cries when waking up, she's still tired. Because most of the time she wakes up very happy. So, yeah, it happens. Dad life, mom life, baby life. Never going to forget about the pig and the bunny. Bangladesh. Okay, so we got a couple of countries coming in. So we have Texas, well, US, Germany, Croatia, Portugal, India, Bangladesh. Okay, Romania. I've never been to Romania, but I worked with a guy for a short period of time that lived in Romania, and that was esports related. Slovenia. Oh, okay, Sinterza. What's up, Sinterza? Always keeping an eye on the chart. England. Are we looking to take out the highs? Yeah, so at the very, very beginning of the live stream, when I basically went from the countdown screen to my chart, I shortly explained what I'm currently looking for. The bias hasn't changed though. So the 1 hour time frame bias, which is basically the range from 59K onwards, hasn't changed. It remains higher for upside / range. That's like the bias at the moment. But for upside, I don't want to lose this low because it's going to be a bit problematic for the bulls. If you lose 62.7, the probabilities increase to see a bit of a bigger drop and continue this range. So at the moment, the bias is still as is for for a little while already. The bias from the moment price started dropping here. This was not easy to count as a nice, like, looked like a triangle, and we were looking at something tricky to count for a wave 2. So potentially B, C. We were looking for support. It held. Price moved up. All nice. It's following the plan. And today might very well be a bit of a volatile day. So just being safe here. With regards to new positions, as long as this move down is not proven corrective, there's no new long position. Doesn't make sense. And with proven corrective, I mean that you are not able to count a motive wave to the downside. So if you look at these ranges here, and this is what I always do. We're in a local uptrend, and you wait for the range, and then can you count this range as a motive wave? Well, a diagonal doesn't work. An impulse doesn't work. Well, it did, maybe a 1, 2, and then you look for 3, 4, 5, but that got invalidated. And the multi 1-2 was invalidated the moment price moved back above this range here. Which then means that the only option you have is to go up. The probabilities are highest to go up. I don't have lag from my side. I don't have any issues here. And YouTube also doesn't show me. It says my connection is excellent at the moment. Yeah, so this is, so the moment you cannot count it motive anymore, the only option must be corrective, and you're basically looking to trade in the direction of the previous move, which then is to the upside. Right? And exactly the same thing, you can do it here, you could do it here, right? I'm not sure, oh, Romania too, Trajan Boala. I'm not sure if I want to transfer Coinbase to Binance. It's so much to, I know. I know. So just if you just joined, we're just keeping an eye on local price action because of New York opening. Just seeing what happens, and if there's any volatility in the first couple of minutes of New York opening with the SpaceX IPO that I was informed of by Odin. which can lead to potentially some volatility, even though so far it's been quite tame. So, yeah, but the problem now for bulls is that we have at least the potential of a 5-wave structure to the downside. So that again means that if one is looking for longs from an Elliott Wave point of view, this is not giving you a lot of confidence at the moment. Yeah, alternatively, it's an A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C, but it's just the risk. So prefer to be very patient, not really looking honestly for new positions at the moment because of the potential volatility today. What's up, Konstantin? And Camilo, welcome. Good to have you guys here. So I think as price is doing its thing, I will shortly cover the scenarios that I'm looking for. I literally covered it in about 1-2 minutes at the very beginning of the live stream. But I'll repeat it for people that join now a little bit later. What other scenarios do we have for upside movement? Yeah, well, I'm gonna... Good you're asking. What's up, Jeroen? The 1-2s or again a diagonal. That's your only options. The problem I have with a diagonal is I really do not like a leading diagonal as a 1 and another leading diagonal as a 1. Because leading diagonals, like, they're not that common, right? Like an impulse is by far more common than a leading diagonal. So I struggle to be like, well, we have a multi 1-2 with a double diagonal. You know what I mean? I don't like that. I don't like that. So but I'm aware of it. I suppose it's important we are. Locally here, we don't get any bullish confidence at the moment, as there's the potential for a 5-wave down. Alternatively, of course, a multi 1-2. To the downside, but because there's the potential of a 5 compared to previous ranges where you clearly get 3-wave moves to the downside. Of course, these were longer in time, but it requires patience. Of course, you're at resistance as well. You're at the high of the range. I mean, it just shouts, don't buy me this high. So, you know, I would be very patient with buying. And if price changes structure, it's a bit of an issue for the bulls. Yeah, exactly, Catalex. Or can I just call you Alex? Maybe that's... Or Cat. I don't know. Maybe you prefer either or. One can look too short if we hit the... Yes, if we hit the multi 1-2 invalidation here, then there's definitely like opportunities to look for short positions. Because you would expect a larger, like basically this range to continue. So let's cover the scenarios, shall we? I actually got them on my Binance chart because Coinbase was like having some issues past couple of months already. Coinbase has some issues, so I'm considering moving things to Binance. But so okay, let's cover. To start with the conclusion, I suppose, this summary, right? The probabilities are lowest for price from here to go down in a straight line to way below 59K. Like just basically just drop it. Would be higher even for the bears to first continue the range, right? And the reason is that this move down is a low probability motive wave, meaning an impulse or a diagonal. Well, we can't even count a diagonal, so that's off. And an impulse to the downside, even though one can force an impulse in here, counted as a 5-wave structure, there's a few issues with wave 2, and wave 5 is an expanding diagonal, which is very rare. That's very rare. So it's not what we like to see. Lowers the probabilities. It increases the probabilities. This is corrective. And that is important because it creates a bias from an Elliott Wave point of view. The bias is then towards take out the high, and as a bare minimum, you continue sideways. Now, price moved to our area of support, something we were looking for, moved towards the upside, corrective moves down, you look for up, etc. And at the moment here, price dropping. Now, With regards to the move up, your only bullish, or at least the most bullish scenario, is that you have a multi 1-2 here, and you look for price to continue, which means you want structure to hold. The moment price moves below 62.7, a multi 1-2 is off. And that increases the probabilities for a larger drop, basically. Because the only quote-unquote bullish scenario that you have is a diagonal. But a diagonal, like, guys, it's not like that common. Like, we can keep counting diagonals, of course, everywhere. But a diagonal in Elliott waves is not such a common structure. An impulse is by far more common. So initially, when you would count a diagonal, probabilities are higher you're dealing with a zigzag family structure instead of a diagonal or a multi 1-2. The moment a multi 1-2 is invalid, you're initially going to look for a zigzag family structure, which is a corrective movement. Only if you get a zigzag family movement to the downside does the potential diagonal get some weight. So a lot needs to happen. So if price breaks structure here, your bullish case is going to be a diagonal here for then a double diagonal 1-2. I can't believe I'm even saying this. And then you're looking for a preferably zigzag family deep retracement to the downside, at least going to the 618 to the 886. But a double diagonal multi 1-2 is not common. No, that's not something I'll be initially looking for, to be honest. So the bulls need to hold 62.7. Right? Now, the other scenarios, because the probabilities are lowest for price to just tank to new lows, your other case is just a continuation of the range. So if price changes structure, the expectation is that price will just continue this range for a longer period of time. Two scenarios you got to keep in mind is a flat A, B, wave C, and then you get another leg up, or you're dealing with a triangle. Could maybe drop from here, get a C of B and a flat after. Yes, exactly. So I just mentioned the flag. That's correct. Have you tried using the index chart? No, because volume on the index is not ideal because it's aggregated and it can, some exchanges, of course, mess up the volume, which then has an influence on the indicator. And yes, T. Boom is a real life buddy of mine already for 20 years. No, 18, getting close to 20, I guess. So that is basically what's going on. And if I go to Binance, I can show you the scenarios on my chart. So in the end, Elliott Waves provides us with a bias. We don't have to follow exact Elliott Wave scenarios. We just got to know the bias. And the bias when price was dropping here was bullish. We're looking for price to move up from our area of support. If you go to my video, was it the 9th of June or the 10th of June? I don't know if I uploaded on the 10th. But we were looking for price to hold support and for a move up. So it's been a nice move. And now we'll see if we get a final stretch to take out the high or not. So here I have these scenarios. So of course your bullish case is a leading diagonal in a 1A. And preferably wave 2B, this is maybe going more into education, but preferably a 2 or B is a zigzag family movement. That's by far most common. That a 2 or B after a diagonal is a zigzag family structure where you're looking for a deep retracement to reach at least the 618 to the 886. That's your common pocket. Remember from the previous content, I had a blue box here and I had an orange box here. Orange box, not common. Blue box, that's common. Blue box got touched. So ideally for the bulls, that's the end of your 2B. Because if you're looking for a flat now, A, B, C, it's not great. A flat is not a high probability structure. Now a double zigzag's not yet invalidated, I suppose. I don't like an impulse down here, but a double zigzag would be A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's your W. You get an X and a Y. But the overall story is, let me explain this before going into too much detail and making things very complex. If you lose 62.87K this low, the probabilities increase for this range to continue and see a bit of a deeper drop, right? So that is what the probabilities do. You're not going to be looking for price to do this. Low probabilities. If price were to do this, right, like, I mean, we have probably the weekend is coming generally in ranging structure, so we'll see next week. But if you take out this low, probabilities are high. You're just going to continue to range. And there are scenarios where you just drop towards the lower end here, back towards 61, 60. And you can still be bullish. You still look for another leg up because the probabilities are lowest for the bears. So diagonal, preferably 2B is finished. Potentially it's not. And you look for a move up later. Your most bearish scenario, lowest probabilities, is an impulse down in 1A, WXY, 2B, and go down. Reason it's the lowest is because we have a little issue here in this range. If you want to know, I can explain, but for now, let's just like, there's something here that lowers probabilities, plus an expanding diagonal in wave 5, very rare. So, and you touch the 886 here as well, which is a rare retracement target for a wave 2 or a wave B. So it lowers the probabilities. This is a 1 or A. Probabilities are higher. This move down is corrective, not motive, which increases the probabilities to take out the high. And as a bare minimum, you continue this range. So that's the conclusion of the last week of videos, basically, is that the probabilities are higher for bulls. And as a bare minimum, you just look for a continuation of this range. But the probabilities are lowest for bears, where you're just looking for price to tank and everyone looking for 40K and 50K and that sort of stuff. Well, not yet at the moment. Not yet. Yeah. But we're now in a situation here where we need a bit of clarity on what's going on exactly. Oh yeah, so your multi 1-2, if this is the low, right, and you're looking at a multi 1-2 here, you don't want price to take out this low as explained, 62.8, that's a problem. What do I have here? Alternative scenario at the moment. So aware, but alternative for now. Might have to put this here though. So this is another leading diagonal. So you have a diagonal here. If this is a wave 1, you like to count a 1. That's a diagonal. And if you want to count a 1 here, another diagonal, if you do break this low. But a double diagonal is very rare. So if this were to play out, I would count this as W, X, Y, double zigzag, and then go down. Makes a lot more sense. A double 1-2, double diagonal... Man, nah, I've never seen that before. No, that's very rare. This is the flat that I already spoke about. Minimum target reached. Triangle for the fun and giggles, but not yet relevant. Yeah, so conclusion, like I can make things complex, but the conclusion is the bias remains the same. Lowest for the bears, looking for price to drop down in a straight line way below 59. Probabilities are higher for the bulls or continuation of the range minimum, which still includes another leg up inside the range at a later stage if you were to drop down to 61. If price breaks below 62.8K, then the bullish multi 1-2 is invalidated, which increases the probabilities for generally bearish scenarios, but you also would expect this range to continue for a little bit longer. And for ideally a bit of a larger drop. Yeah, I mean, and there's other than that, not too much to say. On the lower time frames, there is now the potential here of a 5-wave structure, which means that the bulls have to be patient. There's no interest here, at least I'm talking personal because I'm not a financial advisor. We're on YouTube, as you know. But there's no buying interest here at the high of the range into resistance, which is the value area high. Let me go to my chart where I actually have all that stuff. So we have, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. So the value area high acting as a resistance. And I need a proven corrective structure to the downside in order to be interested here. And what is a proven corrective structure to the downside? Well, it's a movement to the downside that cannot be counted as either an impulse, a diagonal, or a multi-1-2. Similar to what you see here, here, and here. And I can explain these ranges one by one. I've done this in the membership area for like the last few days. But here, the first move to the downside, it's interesting. If you want to trade Elliott waves, if you want to become an Elliott wave trader, this is incredibly useful information. Right? So the only thing you really need to know in Elliott waves, or what I would start with primarily, and then you know basically 70-80%, is motive waves. All right. So got to know the impulse, diagonal, and the multi-1-2. Because if you get a drop and you cannot count an impulse, diagonal, or a multi-1-2, you're looking up. Of course, vice versa, if you have a downtrend and you get a move up that you cannot count as an impulse, diagonal, or multi-1-2. So in this particular scenario here, if you want to count this as an impulse, first of all, there's a lot of overlap, so it didn't even work. But besides the fact, if you want to count an impulse, you need a 3, 4, 5. You never got a wave 4. Price moved up too high, invalidating a wave 4. You cannot count a diagonal to the downside here. Trust me, I checked that. I just don't want to go too low time frames. And for a multi-1-2, 1-2, 1-2 down. Because price touched the 1.618, which means you're not looking here for like a flat structure, because that pretty much invalidates a flat. So for a multi-1-2, you want price to continue down, which means that the moment you move above this range, again, like this range, this section, you are looking for that high, which means your first buying opportunity from an Elliott wave point of view, if we explain it like this, because there's multiple ways to trade it, would be to enter here. And naturally your stop could be below the low, and then whatever, right? And then your minimum target is the high, with of course the potential of continuation depending on your overall plan and what you're looking for. No? I mean, heck, you could even use the ranges over here. This is also a 3-wave structure. Same thing happened over here with this structure to the downside. If it's not an impulse, right? We cannot count a 5-wave structure down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's so much overlap. We cannot count a diagonal because you actually have only 2 lows. You need 3 lows. This one had to be a little bit lower to allow for potentially a diagonal. So you cannot count a diagonal here. And in a multi-1-2, you needed price to continue dropping. You can see the curve, right, which was also on a little bit of increasing volume locally. You needed it to drop. However, price then reverses. The moment it takes out these highs, you're looking for up. Right. And then the same thing, I said this morning to the members again. So every time there's a range, I give updates. So like we have a new range here. I said when this ended, this looks more like a C wave. I actually think I still have this in on the Binance chart. Where is it? Group 1? No. Group 2? Yeah. So here I am talking about, is this motive or corrective? Well, we can't count an impulse because we don't have a 5-wave structure. Price reversed back up. We can't count a diagonal here. And for a multi-1-2, your lower degree wave 1, once price started to reverse, the lower degree 1, the second one here, because it's 1, 2, 1, 2, your lower degree 1 is almost 1.618 times the size of the higher degree 1. Which lowers probabilities. You don't like to see a lower degree wave 1 that's that long. So it increased the probabilities. This is a wave C. Now for extra confirmation, you like the 886 to be touched and just, of course, to hit invalidation as well. But the probabilities were already higher. You're dealing with an ABC the moment price started to go back up and invalidate an impulse. An impulse was the best shot for the bears. but instead it moved back up, touched the low over here, the low of your wave 1. That is, when trading, potentially your first entry from an Elliott Wave point of view, where again your minimum target is the high. And generally, at least depending on your style, but if you want to trade relatively safe, the moment your directional bias probabilities play out, it's good to take a TP, and then you can observe and see what comes next. So the moment price in all of these 3 cases takes the high, because that's what you're looking for after this is a confirmed corrective structure down, every time it takes out the high, naturally it's a good idea to take something off. At least be break even, preferably take enough off to give yourself profit, because you're correct. Might as well take some money out of the market, no? And then it gives you time again, plus from a psychology point of view, if you take a nice chunk off and you reward yourself, it's easier to hold as well and look what comes next, right? You can always compound. If you enter here for the first time and you TP, let's say over here, you're going to TP like what, 30, 40, 50%, and you're happy, you can put your stop break even, and now you're in a position where you can just wait. And then you see this range, price moves, as mentioned, over here, moves back up above this range here. That could be your compound. And now your average entry goes up, and your average entry might actually still be somewhere here towards the low as well, right? And then price moves up, takes out that high, you can take something off again, observe, and then it's just vice versa, or not vice versa, but just repeat. So yeah, keep it easy. But yeah, everyone, there will be Elliott Wave. I mean, Elliott Waves, there's so many ways to trade Elliott Waves, but this is one way that I think is easy for most people. Your bullish scenario now here is a WXY to the downside. Bearish scenario is an impulse to the downside. WXY and impulses can look like one another, so that can make life tricky sometimes. It just looks like a very 3-wavy move to the downside to create the low, which makes me think about a WXY, where you basically have ABC, WX, ABC, wave Y. Now that would be bullish. The issue is, in this case, can we prove this as corrective? Well, impulse, diagonal, multi 1-2. Could we count this as an impulse? Well, yeah, there is at least the potential of this as an impulse. There's not like a hard invalidation. We have to go in detail. Now, again, this looks 3-wavy, so I do have gives me a little bit of a WXY double zigzag feel. But I can't compare to the previous ranges that we had here. I cannot invalidate an impulse. Plus, it's very low time frame. And preferably, you create stuff on the 15 minutes. And it's just a bit nicer. So, yeah, need more info locally. And sometimes a range is, it looks like an impulse, but then eventually it's not. And you may miss a move, and that's sometimes just the way it is. You can't catch everything. No? But bearish case 5, bullish case WXY. Let's see how deep the retracement is. The retracement is 786. So you don't really want to take out even this low again, because then you get to the 886, which is rare for 2s. Let's have a look. Up. 20 is 19. I was 16 or something. I'm 35. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I remember I was dating Lotte. I don't know. That was early years of high school. So I must have been like maybe 13, 14 years old. Yeah. So I think we're about 18, 19 years. I'm so glad I found your channel. My previous mentor wasn't a good fit, and I was actually about to give up on Elliott Waves entirely. You're the reason I'm still pushing through and trying to figure it out. There's so much to learn. Even though I still lack the confidence to take trades based on my own Elliott Wave analysis right now, your content keeps me motivated. I'm very happy to hear that, Dilshan. And keep it up. please keep it up. Because, first of all, Dilshan, how long are you into Elliott Waves? In my first year of Elliott Waves, I quit for 2 months. I started in February 2021. At least that's when I got in touch with Elliott Waves. And then towards the end of that same year, I quit for 2 months because I was demotivated. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I just did not get it. I don't know how other like probably everyone here will have a moment at some time in like during their Elliott Wave journey. They'll have a moment where they're like, "Fuck, right? I just don't understand. Why am I wrong all the time?" Or why is it playing out but still wrong? You know, like okay, the direction is good, but the scenario is wrong because maybe you get feedback and you're like, well, why? Like, there was a guy actually in our community, but he left earlier today because people gave him positive feedback. Interestingly, but this was a guy that labeled. He was labeling corrections to the upside as ABCs and corrections down as WXYs. But not related to the actual structure. It's just if the correction is up, it's ABC. And if the correction goes down, it's WXY. So the letters had no other meaning than it is a correction up or correction down. So when I saw it in the group, I just gave him what I do every day is I just give people some pointers. I said, well, yeah, I look at your photo. I would count this a bit different. I would use the WXY and ABC. So I just told him a little bit, and he said, "Yeah, but it doesn't change the direction, right? Because we're still looking for price to then go that way." I don't know. It's somewhere in the Discord. Elliott Waves. What was his name? Winnie. I'll be able to find this. Nothing against the guy because he's also just learning, but it is important to be open to. Yeah, so here it was interesting, but he now left, unfortunately, because I think he has potential. It's just wrong. So Ricky here says W can't be a WXY, which is correct. And then he says, don't get caught up on the letters. It doesn't really matter. So then I give a little bit of feedback here, right? You can't label WXY inside W or Y. And, eventually I'm like, you know what, looks like you can't really change his opinion. So if it works for you, then do it. But then later, I think a day later, someone gave him the same type of feedback. And then he was like, yo, I'm out. Hopefully he comes back because, everyone can learn Elliott Waves. But the letters do have meaning. ABC or WXY. It's a very, very important distinction on the chart on how you're reading the chart. It's very, very, very important. But yeah, keep at it, Dilshan. About 1.5 years. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was about 2 years in when I started to get more confident. And mind you, actually, when I made content, how long ago is this now? I started the channel February 2020, what? 3? I think so. So I started the channel just after doing Elliott Waves for about 2 years. And if you would go to my earliest videos, you'll still see I make some mistakes or some counts do not make sense. And they're still on the channel. Yeah, I think it's important. It also shows people that are learning Elliott Waves what is possible if you stick with it. I even had some Dutch videos before the English ones, but those are not visible because my channel is English now. But there's also a video on YouTube somewhere. I think it was a live stream where I counted a WXY in either a W or a Y. I don't even know. And someone commented a while ago on that video because that person found the video and me counting a WXY and a W or a Y. And he said, it makes me feel good that even you were struggling with Elliott Waves and now see where you are right now. It just shows the curve. Now we all started somewhere. I'm not unique. I'm just a guy that's just been with Elliott Waves for a long period of time and therefore got to master it now. There was another comment somewhere. 5 waves to the downside complete. Now probably 3 waves up and go down. That's the bearish case. The bullish case here is that this is a double zigzag. So currently you have a 5-wave move up locally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll see if we maybe get a bit of a correction. And if this turns into a corrective structure, look, it's 1 minute time frame stuff. Take it with a grain of salt. But if you would get a corrective structure down that is proven on a 1 minute time frame, it might be an entry. It's just that you got to manage it so quick because it's on the 1 minute. So I tend to like the 15 minute and the 1 hour, like my favorite time frames. Cheese, how you doing, man? Cheese. It's been a little while. Nice to see you, man. Also, I noticed, Cheese, that sometimes the YouTube algorithm puts your comments in the in like the spam area. Because I happen to find some of your comments in that section. It's basically in the comment in what's it called? In the community section, which is over here. I have a tab that is called held. So I can go published comments, which is all the comments of basically you guys. And I still have a lot of commenting to do and replying. But then I have the held one as well. And I noticed that sometimes comments from you guys end up in here. Besides, of course, a lot of scammers that like many. What is this? Someone's, yeah, like, so lots of scammers are in here as well. But I saw, Cheese, that sometimes your name happens to pop up in this list. So sorry for that, but you know, I'll keep an eye on that list. It's just YouTube doing YouTube stuff. Boobom, are you doing good by not diving into trading before you can make your own plan? Make a trading view account. Yeah. T Boobom. Yeah, have a plan, trade a plan, but before you really have a plan, ideally you don't really put too much money in the market. The market will always be there, right? You're not missing moves. Price goes up, price goes down, it will always do. I once gave feedback to someone to remove the price on the side. So you can make your what's this? The edges, the price and time, you can make it like transparent in the settings. And it may help with psychology because for most people, the price of an asset doesn't even matter if they are day trading. Have a nice weekend, Joseph. I only reviewed it, came online shortly before he left. Yeah, he was in and out very quick. He was very new. Frank Peters, I've been doing Elliott Wave for 2 years and I know just enough to get myself in trouble. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Man, Elliott waves, let's be honest, for the analysts here, Elliott waves can be extremely demotivating because it takes so much time to learn. It's a fun journey though, but it's a pain in the ass at the same time. And that's why I quit for 2 months and then I came back again. What do you think about SPCX? I guess SPX. Can have a look in a second. I'm considering learning to trade because I enjoy watching you and others just for fun. How long on average does it take to become proficient if I dedicate 2 hours a day? Well, I would say it depends on your plan. If you want to be able to become a profitable trader in the shortest period of time, I would not recommend Elliott Waves, actually, because Elliott Waves will probably take you at least 2 years to be confident and right enough, correct enough to be able to start executing on ideas. Unless, like, I'm not sure, Edward, if you're in the community, but if you're in the community, which is free, everyone, by the way, right? You can get feedback from many different people doing analysis. There's great analysts in there as well. And, you know, learning curve will go quicker. But I think the quickest way to earn money in the markets would be to build a plan on data. Let me find a video for you. 1 second. I'm finding it. 6 steps. Was it this one? Yeah, I found it. Share, copy. Pop. So this video that I share now is about the 6 steps to build a profitable trading plan based on data. We are currently, that's literally what Hexaplan is about. It's going live very soon, but Hexaplan is a platform. It's the backend, which I can't show just yet. I can, but not now. I'll do an announcement video soon where I go through things. But Hexaplan is a platform where we actually put that video into like an online platform that helps you to build a plan based on data. So you go through the 6 steps to build a plan based on data, right? And then you get, of course, like journaling, analytics, and all the good stuff. But the most important thing is that it helps you build a plan based on data. And that's the shortest way, in my opinion, to make money in the markets, is to create a plan based on data, not on emotion and not on I think. I think price goes up or down. Yeah, but we don't do anything with I think. We need a methodology. Like, Elliott Waves is not I think. In the beginning, Elliott Waves is very subjective because skill level is low. But then later, as you stick with it, subjectivity goes down because skill level goes up. And generally, the best Elliott Wave analysts tend to have a similar directional bias or similar scenarios. And that's just because they're working on the same level. So the subjectivity goes down. I get confused with WXY. Yeah, so let me shortly. So first of all, I have a beginner's guide on YouTube, which is here, where you will find the WXY double zigzag, triple zigzag. That's a WXY for zigzags. And then you also have the sideways WXY, right? The double 3 and the triple 3. But in a nutshell, you have the quote unquote simple corrective structures, which is a zigzag, A, B, C, a flat, A, B, C, and sometimes a triangle is regarded as a simple structure. Hell, like triangles for me are probably one of the most annoying structures in the market. But anyway, triangle, A, B, C, D, E. Right? Now, a WXY is basically a combination of these with a connector wave in the middle. So, W can be either a zigzag or a flat. Y can either be a zigzag, a flat, or a triangle. Now, hold on to that thought, because there's 2 WXYs. You have a sharp WXY, which is a double zigzag. And a double zigzag is what it says, a zigzag in W and a zigzag in Y, which means ABC correction ABC. You are now having 2 structures with a connector wave in the middle. Your first ABC zigzag, right, your first ABC zigzag here, becomes your W. The connector wave, most commonly a zigzag, is your wave X. And then your next zigzag, that's your Y. Right? Now, there's of course rules and guidelines with a double zigzag. We don't preferably see X go too low. Invalidation is take out the start of W, because invalidation for a double zigzag. Ideally, wave X retraces to the 302 to the 0.5. Maximum target, arguably the golden pocket, but moving below the 0.7 Fibonacci from start to end of W, not ideal. Wave Y is preferably similar in size and time to W. Yeah, so, and it should be a sharp structure, right? Or should be, commonly is. And then we have the sideways WXY, which I'm going to call it range WXY for the sake of my beautiful Picasso drawings here. And this is doesn't have it's like a double three. I mean, that's the official name, like a double three, which basically is a sideways ranging structure where you have W, X, and then Y. Now, in this scenario, if your W is a zigzag, wave Y cannot be a zigzag. It's the most important thing you should remember here. In a sideways WXY, these two cannot be zigzags, while in a double zigzag, naturally, you want W and Y to be a zigzag. Now here wave W, as mentioned earlier, can be a zigzag or a flat. Pop, pop, pop. Wave X can be any corrective structure, but commonly as a zigzag. This is again your connector wave. And your wave Y, if W is a zigzag, Y can only be a flat or a triangle, nothing else. But as you can see, you have a corrective structure where basically two of the simple structures are connected in one large correction with a X, and that's your connector wave. Now, how do you know you're working on a WXY? Well, it all starts with one of these. The triangle always comes last. It's not relevant. It's always in a Y. Triangle doesn't exist in W. So the moment you see a potential zigzag or flat on the chart, so imagine you get price action and it's a zigzag to the upside and price retraces, invalidating an impulse, invalidating a multi-1-2, right? Price basically drops. The moment this happens, there's a few scenarios that come to mind. A WXY, I'll be honest, is not going to be your first pick. A WXY comes later. Right. The moment you see a zigzag to the upside here, A, B, C zigzag, and you get a drop to the downside, you might be looking for an impulse, continuation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if this also turns into a three-wave structure, then it depends on how deep this goes. Because for a flat, where you look for a larger A, right? Wave A can be a zigzag internally. You look for a larger B and then a larger C. Your wave B needs to retrace to at least the 0.9 Fibonacci minimum, which is here. So if you would label a three-wave structure as a wave A, this is what I explicitly want to say this, because a lot of people do this wrong. If you label, because there's two ABCs, a zigzag and a flat, and a zigzag is 535 ABC, a flat is 335 ABC. If it's a three-wave structure and you label it an A, wave B must move beyond the 0.9 Fib. It must retrace wave A by at least 90%. There is no other way. If price moves down correctively, invalidating an impulse and multi-1-2 to the upside, but does not reach the 0.9, you're going to be thinking about an X. So the 0.9 is basically like your line in the sand for an X or a B. You move below the 0.9, think about a B. And if you correct and you don't reach the 0.9, think about an X. Now, depending how deep X goes, if X is shallow, 382, 05, maybe the golden pocket, right, taken from the start to the end of the move up. If it's a shallow corrective structure, think about a double zigzag, WX and then a Y double zigzag. If wave X retraces deep, golden pocket, 786, 886, consider a sideways WXY. Or triangle eventually. But a triangle, again, comes later. You will first consider WXY before you would cover a triangle. I mean, this is what the second book in the Elliott Wave Compendium is about. It's about implementation. That how do probabilities change as new information comes in? And what are then the things you got to think about every time? That is, so book one that we're working on is, we're working with the designer now as we're getting close to finish, but book one is the theory. Book two is implementation, which is basically this, is where you start, and we will also aim to use live charts, but you start with a scenario, then new information comes in, and how does it then merge into larger structures? How do you get to directional bias, etc.? Right? How does one structure merge into the next? So, yeah. Anyway, hopefully this at least answered some questions. Let's have a look at price. Oh. Price took out the high, looks a bit flattish. Again, there's the potential for a 5-wave move up. So I wouldn't be surprised on the 1 minute to see price move up and still take out these highs. Bullish scenario here is a WXY double zigzag. Bearish scenario is an impulse locally. Right? The bulls do not want to lose 62.8. As long as you don't, structure bullish, potential for multi 1-2, potential for 3. Potential for 64K highs to be taken. How about the bigger time frame? Oh, it was you. Yeah, you wrote the comment then on me, right? Putting a WXY in a wave W or a Y years ago. Yeah, so the larger time frame. We can go to the larger time frame for a second. So on the weekly. So I actually, fun you ask, in this in the morning routine I did today, which is like the morning routine is a video I record every morning when I go through my routine. It's literally, that's why it's called morning routine. And I always cover stuff like it's a member thing, but I always check the new levels. I update my waves. I talk about things. I answer questions and all that stuff. I actually covered the weekly. So, and then mainly from an investing swing trading point of view, but at the moment on a weekly time frame, it's unlikely something is finished. Meaning, from the all-time high to the downside, it's unlikely something has ended and you're looking for a continuation of a new bull market, for example. Reason is that the most bullish count that you can have to end something here is either going to be a WX and a Y, but then wave Y is, what was it, 3 or 4 times the size of W, which is very long. Let me check. I forgot. Oh, between 3 and 4 times. So your wave Y is 3 to 4 times the size of W, which is quite long. And also your wave B, if in a wave Y, A, B, wave C, your wave B compared to your A is also long. It's about 4 to 5 times. It's still okay, still valid, but it is a large structure. So it's difficult to give this the highest probabilities because of the ratio between the W and the Y. Now, your other option would be to count WXYXZ, but the WXYXZ is extremely rare. We'll never have the highest probabilities. And then you get to simple structures where we just count this as a wave A, B, C. Now, wave B could absolutely be finished over here after an ABC towards the upside, right? We were looking for price to turn around and drop. And the moment on the 1st of July, price moved down and took out the low of the range on the 1st of July. The probabilities were higher to take out the low. That was the bias, because then the probabilities are higher. This is corrective, another multi 1-2 for bulls. Now the question then is B finished? Well, at the moment, this move down counts best as an impulse. Alternatively, an ABC, but initially best as an impulse. With currently an extended 5 would be quite nice. But if that's the case, then this ideally is going to be 1. You look for 2, 3, 4, and 5 to end your C. And then we could possibly then finish something and look for price to move up. Yeah. The scenario for the bulls is that you would create a larger sideways structure where, you remember everyone looking for the flat? That would be your W. Oh, we're going to implement WXYs now. You look for wave X, which commonly is a zigzag family structure, but in this case it would need to be A, B, C. B has to be corrective. That's a problem at the moment because this looks more motive than it looks corrective. But you need an X and then you still need a wave Y, which basically means that at the moment it's not really interesting from an Elliott Wave point of view to engage for to invest basically for a next bull market. Now, I'm not an advisor, you do you and whatnot, but I prefer to be more confident that a structure is ending. So if we would get a 5-wave move down here, things start to get interesting. If price were to move up, I would expect a larger range, and then over here it gets interesting. Right? Now, price will move up and move down and all this stuff, but if you don't want to manage, then this is not a great place to if you were looking for the flat, it's a good place to buy. But the moment on the 1st of July, price move down, that's your exit, because then you're like, well, okay, we're looking for something else. So on a weekly time frame, it's just unlikely something has finished, and preferably towards the end of structures, you start to engage with the chart, and the safest way, the safest approach would be to wait for a 5-wave move up and then the corrective structure. And then that's the buy, you look for price to move up. But, people generally start to get FOMO a lot earlier. So here, for example, price moved up. The moment 30K was taken for the second time, that was the moment that from a 5 up, 3 down scenario, that's the moment where you were looking for continuation. Of course, if we look at the move down, we can count a 5-wave structure. So naturally, you're looking for price to turn and la-di-la. But if we're looking at waiting for 5 up and 3 down, the moment price took out this high again, we could not count this as a single 5 anymore. So that's your sign that, okay, now we're looking for price to continue up. So even if you didn't catch anything here, you could have caught it here because you're looking for higher. Yeah. Hey, price moved up. 1 minute time frame analysis played out. Always got to take the 1 minute with a little bit of a grain of salt. But you're 5, you're looking for price to take out the high, took the high. Very nice. We got to see if it touches the 886. I would expect continuation. There we go. So what's going on in chat? 4 hour. I covered the. What do you mean with the 4 hour, by the way? Because I covered the 1 hour, which is the range since 59K. I covered the daily as well, weekly. How can I enter the premium group, the Discord with the locks? Oh, the membership. Well, Discord is free, and there's a lot going on in Discord. So I always recommend just checking it out. But the memberships is there's a link in the description. The link tree link. And it has a website, or it has a link to the memberships that we. Oops, where's my chat? There we go. to the memberships. Usually B is the longest. Well, No, I would not say B is usually the longest. In a flat, so the most common structure in a flat is that wave A and B of a flat are zigzag family structures. That's just most common. They can be something else, but it's most common to have them as a zigzag family structure, which means A and B tend to be quite similar in time, and C tends to be shorter because it's an impulse. In a triangle, both A and B are zigzag family structures, but B is tinier than A because of the price. Well, that, by the way, that's not true. If B is a running, if you get a running triangle, B is longer in price, which therefore means that there's absolutely the opportunity for B to be longer in time. You would expect B to be longer in time if it's a B4 running triangle, because it's just a larger structure, so it may take more time to form. And if you're looking at a zigzag ABC, then I would, so then you have wave A is a zigzag, wave B is a corrective structure, C is a zigzag. Wave B usually at least ends after the 382 fib time, but generally I would say 382 to a 4 fib time. I mean, arguably, preferably it ends before 2. But there, a corrective structure can absolutely take more time than the time it took to form the impulse. So, yeah. The price did overlap just now. Can we count the structure as corrective? Like your bearish, so as mentioned, the bullish scenario here is a W, X, and a wave Y because of the 3 wavy end, while the bearish scenario is an impulse. You cannot invalidate an impulse here, but if you are bearish, you do not want price to retrace to the 886 though. But as I said earlier, it's just that the ending here looks 3 wavy, and this is the only reason why a WXY double zigzag was something I got in mind. So the moment this was formed and we saw this range earlier in the live stream, I was like, well, this might actually be WX and then a wave Y for the bulls. The bears look at an impulse, but you can't invalidate an impulse here. So can we count the move up as a double zigzag on a 1 minute? I would then just count an ABC, A, B, and you look for wave C. I wouldn't count, like you want to try and keep things simple as much as you can till the moment you can't, and then you move into complex structures. But this would be quite clearly a 5. So that's why when price formed a 5 here, I said, well, we could look for a 3 and another 5 up and look for price to take out the highs, right? Earlier in the live stream, but you were there. But so your bearish case would be, in that case, a 5 wave A, you look for a B, and then you look for a wave C. But the bears just don't like the 886 to be touched. If you touch the 886, probabilities are really high you take out the high. And with regards to my areas of resistance, I don't really have a lot going on besides the 64K high, really. If we take 63.25, wait, 63.25. If price takes 63.25, I think on my chart it must be 63.300, this one here. K16 with a long wave 4. Well, you would need to count a WXY in the 4 with a running flat in W, WX, ABC in a wave Y. But a running flat is not a common structure. So I would then prefer to just be simple and count it as 5. Count a 3 here. And then another 5. That would be, the thing is, you cannot use K16 here, because we can very easily count this as a 5 wave move up. Oh yeah, because there is the potential of a 5 wave move up like this. Yes. Okay, I got you there. So yes, I wouldn't use K16 here. No. This is not the same as what we had here on the 15. That's very clear, basically. Even though it wasn't K16 here, for example, this was pure Elliott waves. You could use K16 here though. But and here as well. Yeah, I wouldn't use it locally. Sir, what can say? Oh, my series starts. Sir, what can say about a trade that uses only 1 hour, 4 hour daily, weekly, and not going to lower than 1? Oh, that's fine. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can be an Elliott Wave analyst, trader, and only look at the monthly time frame and not be bothered with anything lower than a monthly. You don't need to do multi time frame analysis with Elliott waves, but it just helps to get a bit of a better picture on what's happening. But if you are a high time frame trader, probably the 4 hour time frame chart is the lowest you will go. If you are a day trader, probably the 15-minute, 1 hour time frame is the lowest that you want to go. If you're a scalper, well, the lower the better. Instead, as a scalper, you don't go above the 1 hour or the 15 minutes, Yeah. Also, by the way, Abdul, nice to see you. It's been a while, no? Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you in the chat. Let me shortly here actually make a little screenshot. 1 second. And now get my window back. There we go. Just quickly updating, some maybe members are not in the live stream, so wait. La. Bullish case is W, X, and Y. Is this. Or ask questions. Just saying that I am also live. Control Z, bearish case impulse, but then you don't want the 886 to be touched. Bearish case is impulse, but you don't want the 86 to be touched. Important is that we don't have a proven corrective move here, as an impulse is an option. But WXY with the okay. Finished. Yeah, I'm so happy that I got typing lessons when I was younger, and my parents put me on typing lessons. So bullish case, right? WXY, bearish case, impulse. Okay, hasn't changed to earlier in the live stream. That's the beauty of Elliott waves being fractal. Yeah, exactly. Like you can pick a time frame that works for you. So I think Elliott waves, if you, for example, if you have a job or like whatever you do, wherever you are, Elliott waves, you can make it work. Because if you have a full-time job from 9 to 5 during the week, you just trade the 4 hour, right? And you're going to be good. You don't have to go to a 15-minute time frame or a 1 hour time frame and see what's going on all the time. You can be on a 4 hour and that's going to be your time frame. No. So, and if you do have more time, maybe during the weekend, you can go into lower time frames. Or if you have a flexible job or you have your own business and you're able to spend more time with the charts, you have the ability to go into lower time frames. Now, the question sometimes is if the person should go into lower time frames, because sometimes it makes things more messy and you might actually lose more by going into lower time frames instead of winning. But that depends on style, character, and whatnot. But because a 3 wave on the high time frame can be a 5 wave on the low time frame. A subwave can be, yes. Of course, like if you have, imagine, right? Imagine this is a, imagine we have a 5 wave move to the downside. So this is a correction. And this is a 5 wave move down on a, let's say this is the 15-minute time frame. But then on the 1 hour time frame, this 5 wave move down can be wave C of a larger A, B, and then a wave C. And you look for price to turn around and continue the larger trend. You know what I mean? So yes, like a 3 wave move, and same is true, of course, like if you talk about a 3 wave structure. So a 3 wave corrective move down can be part of a larger 5 wave move towards the upside, where it's a wave 4 or it's a wave 2. Yeah. Yo, Timothy, how you doing? I hope you're doing great. I'm not in South Africa anymore, but I appreciate it. I had a good time in South Africa. We were there for a couple of weeks, but we are back now. Yeah, so now I have my normal mic. Yeah. Well, we had a good time. You know, it is like it's a lot of family visits and seeing people. So it's not necessarily like it's a holiday, but also not a holiday. And I'm sure that people can relate if you live abroad from your family and you would visit your home country. I can imagine you sometimes experience the same, where you want to see everyone, you want to see all your family, you want to make time for your friends, and basically every day you're hopping from the one thing to the next, and you don't really relax too much necessarily, but still it's a lot of fun. Like you see your family, you see your friends, but it's not like a chill holiday or something. Yo, Travis, how you doing? Hope the kiddo is doing well. Oh yeah, absolutely. She's 7 months now, since 2 days. 7 months and 2 days. And she's developing very, very well. She can roll. Mate, she's rolling off the playmat all the time. So we eventually need to think about having like a gate or something, you know. She's a very happy child, and yeah, she's doing good. Hive, I have a wave count that says we could be in wave 3 or 3. Just wondering what you think. Hive. Actually, I meant when waves are hidden, usually on the 1 and 5 minute. Yeah. Yeah, I actually had a couple of. Wait, is it Hive? Is it an altcoin or is it a business? Travis. Probably an altcoin, but just checking in. I didn't know. Congrats, man. You're so lucky. Cheers, Camilo. I mean, yeah. You know, we have been fortunate enough to get a baby. So and a little daughter, which is also the reason why if I make content on the 10th of the month, I will always, the lights in the back behind me will always be on the pink setting. You can't really see it too well. But every 10th of the month, I basically put the lights I have on pink because it's like her birth day, well, monthly birthday thing, you know what I mean? And all the other days, it's the Kunz colors, which is blue, green, but sometimes I'm standing in front of the bright light, so you don't always see the shade of blue. But no. Bitcoin miner. Okay, so it must be the altcoin, I suppose then. Bybit, Binance. Also, I love being a girl dad. I really enjoy having a little baby girl. Whoa. Is this what you mean with the three? Wait, is this the chart or am I? Is this the wrong one? This is Hive USDT on Bybit, because this is of course not very interesting. It's at all-time low. It can't be this one, right? So which one is it? Hive Spot? No, Hive USD. Is there a chart that actually goes up, or Hive is every chart is just bottoming? Wait, what was the message? I have a wave count that says we could be in a wave 3 of 3, but this would be a wave 3 to the downside. Or you're talking about low time frame stuff. Ticker is Hive. Hive? Oh wait, Hive Digital. Oh, okay, so it is the stock then. Okay, sorry. Nah, I thought it was I thought it was an altcoin. He's talking about the stock. What's this gap? That's an insane gap. Gap low has been touched. I mean, you would think that if price moves above $11, you would just fill the gap and go straight to 25. That's over 100%. I mean, 10 to 25, but not bad. Okay, so potential for a 3 of 3, huh? Hmm. Well, the issue with the move down is that I cannot prove this as a corrective structure because I can count an impulse. An impulse, I mean, an impulse would be an extended one impulse, which is not your highest probability impulse. It's actually the rarest. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But 1 is the longest, and it's the rarest. The rarest impulse is an extended wave 1 impulse. So most common is extended 3, then extended 5, then extended 1. But you got to be aware of this. Now, context-wise, it wicked the low, took the liquidity, moves up. This would be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 4, 5. So you get a explosive top. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Absolutely, this looks motive, right? But because it snatched the low, if this is motive, price must take out this high unless this is wave C of a flat. And if this is wave C of a flat, then this must be A, that must be B, that must be C, and you continue going down. 4, 5, 4. But even if this is, even for the bears, you would like higher prices. No. Oh, this, okay, well, the 382 is touched. That's at least your minimum target. But you're not, yeah, so what you would like to see, if this is an impulse down, even for the bears, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, even in a bearish case, you would like to end something after the 382, which is sitting on the 3rd of November 2026. And ideally, you end something inside the FIB pocket. The 382 is touched, right, which is a minimum target, quite nice. Golden pocket is at the high of the gap, which would be very interesting. So I can definitely see this moving up. Together with this being a potential 5, and preferably oops, checking. If this is a 4, Yeah, ideally it's not a flat. Ideally it's not a flat because it would be so long in time compared to your wave 2. So ideally this is an A or 1. And you eventually look for price to take out that high and correct. If it's corrective, if it's motive, you keep pumping. But even if it is corrective, you have a finished impulse down, you would correct towards the upside. You would like it to end after the 3rd of November inside the fib pocket. Yes, the bear scenario is a WXY DZX. Welcome, by the way. So, yeah, this can absolutely be 5 up. This would be extended one impulse, which is rare, but you cannot prove this as corrective because there's the potential of an impulse. Your bullish count, of course, is like A, B, and the C. A, B, C is for the bulls. So, and if you touch the 886 somewhere here, then yeah, you of course look for price to take out the high, but yeah, I can absolutely see it move higher. What's happening on BIDI? We're moving up. Yep. So Bitcoin moved up, touched the 886, increasing probabilities to go up. So that was the WXY. So earlier in the live stream, we analyzed this as a potential W, X, and a wave Y purely based on this move. So as price is ranging here, you don't know if this is a 5 or maybe a 3. But then here you can very easily see a potential 3. So that's where the WXY came from. So ideally, bulls now continue. So we took out the high again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So bulls just keep stacking 1, 2s. I mean, you really want the wave 3 before the weekend. Don't really want to see wave 3. So if you don't get a wave 3 before the weekend, it's arguably more bearish than it is bullish. W. So the bearish case remains W, X, and then wave Y, with inside wave Y, A, B, running flat C. Running flat is a rare structure, however. Bullish case remains the multi 1, 2. Is it likely we take out 64,250 and head lower? Like, the trend is bullish. So before one would try to short, so let me just, I suppose, is there a scenario where you take out the high and you go down? There always is. Which would be, for example, a flat. However, from a trading perspective, from an Elliott Wave trading perspective, one would not short here unless you trade swing failure patterns and you see one and you see low time frame stuff that confirms what you're looking for. But if I were to look for a short position, then this is at the moment not a great idea. What I would need to see is a 5-wave move down followed by 3 up, right? And then the 3 up becomes the entry. It's the same as, for example, when looking for a long, sure, we could long at support, which was mentioned during the video earlier the week. But you get a 5 up, you get a 3 down. That's your long opportunity because this is proven corrective as per the beginning of the live stream where I went through every single one of these ranges to explain how one could trade them and look for new longs. So naturally, in the bearish case, you don't necessarily have to snipe the low. You can wait for the move up, and then eventually you get a move down. And if this is high probability corrective, which with this retracement was the moment you retraced all the way back from this candle over here, you're looking for price to go up. I would not feel comfortable shorting in the current market structure, nor was I comfortable shorting here, besides the fact that I am live. I'm not comfortable shorting here because I can't prove it as corrective, can't prove it as motive, because motive is a WXY and this looks 3 wavy. Plus, I don't have a corrective structure here that is proven to the upside. Right? Surf and Crypto, what's up, man? Soon as that connector of the 3-wave counter trend is taken, we have probabilities to take out the high or low. Amazing strategy for scalping any time frame. Exactly. I had a quick. I needed to think for a quick second what you meant with connector. But yes, that's the X or the B. But yeah. So you wait for a proven corrective structure. And what I mean with this is that you cannot count an impulse, diagonal, or a multi-1-2 anymore. They're all invalid. Which therefore then means it must be corrective, and you must see price take out the high or low of that basically started the range. I mean, it's not a must, because you can, like, for example, if you create a triangle, naturally, this is corrective, that's corrective, that's corrective. But if the first move up is higher probability corrective, you're looking for this low at some point. Unless it becomes a diagonal, that's your only alternative. But diagonals are rare, especially if you only have one wave. You're not looking at a diagonal. So, you know, if the first leg is corrective, I mean. What's up, Alexander? Did you do the... Yeah, I already did the Elliott Wave analysis. I mean, at the moment, of course, we're observing the chart. So the bias hasn't changed compared to the content earlier in the week, which is bullish / larger range. But for a larger range, bulls need to break 62.7, which hasn't happened. So structure remains. Bullish multi-1-2 is the bullish scenario. And basically the primary for the bulls. If you change the structure, that wouldn't be good for the bulls. Would be nice to actually see the high taken during the live stream, if it does. We've been talking about it for so much over the past content. How long am I live for now? 1.5 hours. Well, $200 to go. Time for Formula One. I'll be watching this weekend as well. Must be free practice 2 now. Enjoy, Desex. Enjoy. What was the result of free practice 1, by the way? If you know. I haven't watched it. Most probable scenario? Well, bullish. Like, based on the analysis, your multi-1-2, as long as it's not invalidated, is going to be your pick. Because the probabilities, as per also earlier in the week, is to take out these highs. And as a bare minimum, you would just look for a larger range. But you're not looking for price to take out the 59K low and go way lower. We don't have that information to support an argument that would drop price all the way down. Which means that longs are more favorable than shorts, even if price also goes down, but you're looking for ups and minimum a larger range. And then your bullish scenario, as per the previous video, is just a multi-1-2. And you don't want to break the structure of a multi-1-2, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. The moment you break the structure, you invalidate a multi-1-2. And if price would break structure, that's bearish. You would expect a deeper drop. Russell, Piastri, Leclerc, but quite unrepresentative, plus a lot of rookies. Oh, okay, I see. It's the typical... Yeah, because it's such a known circuit, they just let the rookies drive. And okay, I see. Well, enjoy, Desex. Thanks for popping in. And in Fibonacci levels, how high could the bullish scenario go? Well, you're looking, you know, like if this would be a multi-1-2, and that's an if, because I feel like at the same time, it's so obvious, it might not be. So the bearish scenario is W. 1 second. Okay, X. And then basically this is a wave Y. For example, a larger flat, mind you. If this is a multi-1-2, oh boy, yeah, you go up. Like you're not going to go down for at least half a week to a week it would just be upside. Because if this were to be a 1-2-1-2-1-2-1-2, I mean, you're really looking for a big move. However, do not try to trade like trade the chart, not the idea, right? People love to get hyper focused on a single scenario, and oh, price could go that high in this scenario, and then they hyper focus on it. Just read the chart. So play the chart, right? Step by step. So, but your bullish scenario is a multi 1-2, yes. Bearish scenario is a zigzag family structure to the upside, but again, for the bears, you need to change the structure. As long as you don't change the structure, which like for me at the moment would be move below 62.7. It's bullish. My shorts are bleeding. Oh, wait, 63,500. That's here. When did you take the short, Camilo? Was it in this range or was it here? Little reminder for the Hexaplan meeting. Oh yeah, 5 p.m. Yeah, it's almost time. Well, actually, it's time for me to go. Okay, in the range, I see. Well, of course, like you can't, you're still in your position, but the best way, like the best moment to exit a short here was the moment price overlapped with the low at 63.2, because that's the moment an impulse is invalidated. And a multi 1-2 had lower probabilities because this move went to the 1.618 trend-based fib extension. I explained this in the membership earlier today. I'm not sure if you're part of that or not, to be honest, because I don't really know who is and who isn't in the YouTube chat. But you're looking basically for price to take out the high, which goes against the position. So that would be the ideal close. Break even, 63.5, of course, was the next best thing. Or this move down. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, do you have a stop loss, right? Risking 1% per trade, ideally. So let's just say if price is not going to swing failure pattern this high at 64.2, if it does not do this, you're going to have a little bit of trouble, I think. So that would be the best opportunity now for you to maybe get out at break even would be this. But if that does not happen, I don't have really any resistance here till at least 65.3, then 66.7, and then higher, you know. My stop loss is 64,300. Okay, I see. I mean, yeah. I wouldn't, I mean, it would be nice if you can get out at break even, but I don't really see that happening at the moment. 1, 2. Even this looks like 1-2-1-2. There might be an opportunity. 1-2-1-2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. But you really needed to slow down then. So the range is, this is 1 minute time frame stuff, but what's happening here needs to be equivalent in time to what's happening here. If price does this and just keeps going, then I mean, it's not gonna stop. Yeah, surfing crypto, it's quite like, I don't see it dropping at the moment for the break even. Jason, maybe a band-aid at it again. Local 886 touch, expect price to go higher. Maybe a band-aid, man. Thanks for the gift, Bert. Welcome. You are now a supporter of the channel. Also, Jason, by the way, the pink badge, right? Rocking it already for a little bit of time now. But awesome, bro. I was a sleepyhead. Yo, Jason, you're in a long now? Like if like I don't know many scalpers that are successful in their scalping stuff, but maybe a band-aid. I mean, you're not really a scalper being active multiple times in a day, but your entries are so accurate in the lows and the highs. It's incredible. There's not many people that can beat your entries. It's unbelievable. It's so good. But you don't really use Elliott waves. You use like what, order flow and stuff. It's incredible. If we swing failure pattern those highs, does that confirm a flat? And we aim to, well, if you want to go down lower, you need to change the structure first. So, for example, what I would like to see for a short is take the high, go down, right, into support. That could be a long opportunity because you have a 5-wave structure. But anyway, then wait for the 3-wave correction up, which might happen during the weekend. Short this into resistance. That's the short. Much safer than the swing failure pattern, to be honest. And then you look for price to go down. Minimum target, take out the low. Potential for lower. That would be my short play. Yeah. I mean, I also opened a long, so I'm not that bad. I mean, you're not bad. You're never bad, right? You're learning. Or not learning, but in the end, like a losing trade is not bad. It's just statistics. Everyone loses. No one has 100% win rate. As long as you know your strategy over a long period of time is profitable, you're good. You're good. You're great. Right? You're in a long, you're in a short. If the short doesn't work, you got your long, you hedged. The only thing what I find bad is if people purely trade on emotion. That's not good. You need a plan. Can't just trade on emotion. I've been in a long since Friday. It's mostly you. In the end, it's you. Since Friday. Okay, here. Okay, I see you. I'm happy to hear that. Camilo, you only trade Elliott waves, or you also trade other stuff with it? Pleasure, they call me the Kings, 6292. Okay, we're actually going to take out the high during the live stream. Very nice. Just a few more dollars. 40, 24, 22, $24. Okay, we go down again. I also trade price action. Okay, and with price action, do you mean candlesticks, ICT, maybe something else? Let's just put an alarm on the line. Price having its usual 2 seconds before it actually takes it out. Yes, Bert, absolutely. The bullish multi 1-2 is still looking very nice. Volume is increasing locally as well as price is moving up, which is what you like to see. Probably the volume will shoot up the moment you take out that high because of the liquidity that's there. But I really find it fascinating how you explain everything in your videos. I truly appreciate them. I think I've already said it in the video comments. Thank you, man. Thank you, Camilo. I mean, just trying to give my 2 cents. Education is a big part of the channel. So, yeah, I'm happy you enjoy the content. That's what I do it for in the end. Does Elliott Wave allow for all these announcements about the war? No. I mean, look, you have the fundamental traders, technical traders, and you have the mix. A fundamental trader will look at the news. Now the high is taken. Very nice. So there we go. We got what we were looking for. Volume increasing as price is moving up. Very, very nice. Very nice, as we say in Nice. Very nice. Yeah, so with Elliott Waves, you have the fundamental traders, you have the technical and the mix. I'm a pure technical trader, but so I don't look at news at all. I don't look at tweets. I don't look at. The only thing I look at is this, because it might increase volatility. But the volatility, like whatever the news is for me not related to price moving up or down. I don't know what the Fed is gonna do. It's none of my interest. It only means, okay, we might get some volatility, so I got to be aware. So I don't. So and also Elliott Waves. If you use Elliott Waves purely as is, you don't use it with the news, but you can if you want to. But if you would read the book, then like they even say in the book, so that it is not related to news. Let's see if I can quickly find it here. I mean, it depends who you talk to. If you can, like, are the markets influenced by the news? Yes. But with Elliott Waves, you don't need to know what the hell's going on in economy and all of that stuff. It's not necessary to be able to analyze the markets. Instead, what we say as technical analysts is we say, well, Elliott Waves predicts the market. It predicts the news. Right? I don't know if there was some random tweet right now, but we were looking for price to take out the high at 64K already when we were down at 61K. So, je ne sais pas. But, and also when Trump became president and price moved to 100K, we already said just right after the 49K low that the high at 72 was going to be taken. I have a long 3-hour live stream on my YouTube channel that explains the reason why we were looking for price to move up. But then, of course, people that do use fundamentals, they will say, well, Elliott Waves is based on fundamentals. Well, yeah, people are allowed to, like, you know, do and think whatever they do. But I'm a technical trader. I'm not a fundamental trader. So, but we respect everyone's background. And if you are fundamental or a technical, we respect you. In the end, it's about making money. And if you do, we can all be very, very happy. Where is that diagram? It's later in the book. I don't know out of my head anymore. Also, I have to go now, or very soon, because I have a meeting with Jeroen. 76. Let me go to page 76. I think it's this one. Let me have a quick check. Yeah, I mean, maybe I can't find what I'm really looking for, but if you would Google wave personality, Elliott Waves, you'll get basically this diagram. You'll find something like this, probably on the website of Elliott Wave International as well. But this doesn't say that it's focusing on. This uses it combines fundamentals with certain waves, but there's another section in the book where I don't know, I can't find it in the time I have here, where it basically says that, or maybe it's in the, like, check the book on the website of Elliott Wave International, where it states that there's no influence with like the news. It predicts the news basically. Are you basing your analysis somewhat on liquidation? No, I purely analyze using Elliott Waves. Mm-hmm. And then I have my levels for support and resistance. Sometimes I understand it is corrective, but the important thing is I'm sleepy, so I think it's motive. Happens. You know, happens. We all miss trades. Pleasure. Golden liquidations. Appreciate your comment, man. Very kind of you. When you were learning Elliott Waves, how long did you study each day? Well, it was during COVID, and I was a keynote speaker, global keynote speaker at the time. So most of the events got canceled and were moved online, if even moved, which also meant that I had a lot of time on my hands. So I easily studied Elliott Waves for hours upon hours on a day. A lot. A lot. Basically the whole day. As long as I didn't have other work to do, speaking wise, and yeah. So I can't put an exact number to it, but every free hour went to learning Elliott Waves and learning stuff about the markets. There was a release from Iran. Ah, I see. Okay. There was a release from Iran. Was there some? I don't. Of course, I don't know what it's about, but have a Trump tweet wave. Oh. Yeah, we predict his tweets. The path of price is not a product of news from the Bible. Oh, that's the quote. Yeah, I mean it says it somewhere. Maybe that's the quote, but it's like difficult for me to look in the time. I'm here on the stream, but yeah. What's your next target for Bitcoin? Well, it was 64.2, so that's now taken. And if this is a multi-one too, then we want price to continue. We don't want price to change structure now. That would be bearish. So yeah. I don't like if price would go below 62.7, that's a problem. Aren said the agreement was almost ready. Okay. I see. So I suppose, I mean, I guess the market finds that bullish. It's a bit unfortunate though that people that buy here could have bought here if they knew Elliott Waves, but but then of course the news, I suppose the news slowly turned bullish maybe here as well. Like I'm pretty sure that fundamental analyst, a good fundamental analyst, will be able to know that the market could be turning, I suppose. But I don't know enough about fundamental analysis to really talk about it. But I respect it. I mean, I really respect it because using news to trade for me would be incredibly difficult. First of all, I don't have the motivation to check the news. But even if I would, then how do you know news is bullish or bearish? You know, sometimes you think, damn, this tweet is so, or this news is so bearish, and then the market pumps 10%, and you're like, okay, so what just happened? Also, news tend to be very negative towards bear market lows and a wave 2. While it would be very positive at the end of a bull market, interestingly. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Going to a meeting with Jeroen, and shortly in between, at Jeroen, talking to Jeroen here, quickly have a look in the living room with the kiddo and my wife and get a drink because I haven't had water during the live stream here. So we got what we wanted. Let me short summary. So price took out 64.2. That's what we were looking for. So that finally happened. The bulls are looking at a multi-1-2 and price to continue. If you change structure at the moment, if you would move below 62.7, that's a problem for the bulls. If that happens, you would look for a larger retracement. So at the moment, bit of resistance at the 64.2K high, which is no surprise. If you can flip this level, then the next one is 65.3 and then 66.7. And then, you know, you can see it on my chart. So yeah, very, very, very nice. Afternoon news was bad for currency. Forex Factory provides the news. Okay, I see. Interesting news. I mean, for me, it's very difficult. I've never been a news guy. Even when growing up, I never really watched the news because on TV, it was always negative. You know, if you, I don't know if there's Dutch people here, but NOS News and all that stuff, it was always negative. It was always about problems. And if it wasn't about problems, it was about the king's daughter that did some bullshit that is not interesting to my life. Like, it's not going to do anything for me. So I very, very quickly in my youth stopped looking at news at all. And I hear about the news through just other sources, I suppose. Oh, yeah. But it's the beauty of trading, no? You can have people that have, I don't know, maybe you use your water tank level to enter a long or a short. You can literally use anything as long as you have data on it. My water tank is almost empty, I long. And if it's not almost empty, I short. I mean, who knows? Maybe that's your strategy. But anyway, time to wrap it up. Thanks for watching the live stream, Friday the 12th of June. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see you on Monday, unless during the weekend something special happens that requires me to maybe go live or whatever. We'll see what the charts do. Maybe it's fun to go live during the weekend, but I can't on Saturday for sure because I'll be gone the whole day. So I don't know, maybe Sunday, but usually I don't really do much during, I don't make content during the weekend. I do work on a compendium. So thank you, Camilo, and thanks for watching. And I will see you at the next one.